Okay, this is Mark Taliano speaking. I am here in beautiful Damascus, Syria, and I have the honor to be speaking with Dr. Ayssar Midani. And would you please tell us your just briefly your background, please?
Yeah, I'm a scientist. I'm a PhD in chemistry and a PhD in information system. I've been living for 50 years in France, and working there I had my own company in MIS, Management of Information System Studies, and change management. When the war started on Syria in 2012, I was very upset because all the media were converging, I can say, in telling that this is a big revolution, and all the imperialist countries, presidents like Hillary Clinton, like Obama, like even in France, Sarkozy at that time, they was saying Assad must go, and Assad is killing his people, and so on. Yeah. So I decided to come 1 month, to spend 1 month in Syria each 2 months from France, just to know what's the truth and just to tell the truth to my friends in France, and to all people, just to re-inform people. Yes. Because I was really very fast I discovered that it was a very big lie, and the lies of the media mainstream were completely converging. So for me that was really strange and amazing, because whether if you hear Al Jazeera, you hear France 24, you hear CNN, you hear BBC, they were all telling the same thing, and which is completely different of the truth on Earth. I mean, so that's why from that time I came here. I was coming 1 month each 2 months, and I was discussing with everybody, and everybody were telling me in 2011 there was really nothing. While nothing, everybody was very happy in Syria. And so even once I was really in 2012, when my plane was coming to the Damascus airport, I was really, I was crying in the plane, because I was really sure that all Damascus have been destroyed, and I come and I see my friends in the airport, and I told them, why did you come? You exposed your lives for threat and everything. And they said, but there is nothing. We can take you to a restaurant in Qasyoun on the mountain, which is on the high of Syria, of Damascus. And so, in fact, we went there to have dinner, and there was really nothing. I took the photos, and I've sent the photos to my friends in France. It was really unbelievable how much it was.
The media was making it.
Yeah, and how the gap was between what I was feeling through the media tellings in France, and even Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya, etc., and the reality.
Yeah, so, and then so I guess my information says it started sometime in 2011. We all know it was externally orchestrated. We all know it's imperialism. We all know that the West supports every single terrorist. And then I was here in 2016, 2018. 2016 there were mortars coming into Damascus, and a lot of, I heard maybe 14,000 killed in Aleppo, 11,000 in Aleppo in Damascus possibly. Maybe the figure's higher, but personally I found that scary. And then in 2018 I was here when the West launched their their criminal cruise missiles, and that was really scary and really loud. And they hit a research center. Can you tell me a bit about that? Why would they be targeting research centers?
Well, let me tell you something before. When I used to come, I used to discuss, I take the little taxis and I discuss with a lot of people in the street and so, because I was really inquiring about the truth. And I was telling about what's all about all these demonstrations and, well, people told me, all of them, they were telling, well, these are children, teenagers who have been paid, but also we don't know them. They don't know even the quarters of the city, and they were. They told me they were under pills. I said, what's the problem of pills? I didn't understand on the first time. But and they told me, these pills, and they take them and they become completely out.
Captagon?
Yeah, and then I discovered they were giving Captagon to all the guys, all the children. They were targeting this slice of age, all the teenagers, people between 15 and 22. They distribute in little bags, sandwiches with money in the sandwich and Captagon in it.
Because just recently, the Syrian security stopped a truck full of Captagon, and we know the CIA has a long history of
400,000 pills.
Yeah, and the CIA has a long history of drug trafficking. So we know where that came from.
So they told me that's why, and they go and they give them money, and they tell them to go to demonstrate. So they become very aggressive. And then even once one guy told me, we saw them coming down, and they say, down with Assad, down with Assad. And then 1 hour later, we saw 1 or 2 hours later, we saw them going up and Vive Assad, Vive Assad. And they came and they told them, weren't you going down? And then you were saying down with Assad? They said yes. And what's happening now? You come, you say Vive Assad, Viva Assad. What's happening? They said, they promised us about 2,000 liras, and they gave us 500. So just to to tell them who we are. So now we say the contrary of what they say.
Okay.
So that was my.
It's intelligence operation.
This is the information I had in 2011, and while I was discussing and beginning 2012.
Yeah.
So I was sure there is a plan, and what a plan, just to destroy Syria.
Yeah.
And then I asked these guys, and they said, Syria was one of the most secure countries
top
in the
5.
world. Yeah,
I heard.
top 5 exactly. And they said one of them, one taxi driver told me, well, now I really ask where you want to go, because there are some quarters I don't go, because yesterday or the day before yesterday, one of our colleagues, he has been sent. They took him to a quarter. He was killed. He has been beheaded. Just to take his mobile and the money he had for the day.
So imperialists brought in terrorists. Imperialists brought in drugs. Imperialists brought in firing on security people and troops. Imperialists brought everything bad to this beautiful country.
At the same time, they were telling in the media mainstream that it was Assad who is
killing his own people,
killing his people, and he's using too much power and too much force against the demonstrations, And well, I want to tell you also that the first people who have been killed were the security people, because they at that time they said it is important to demonstrate, then no violence against the demonstration, and President Assad forbidden to the order forces to have any weapon. So they went, and with only...
He told the security people and soldiers not that weapon, the police, right? They couldn't be armed at all.
No weapons to the police.
Yep.
But at that time, the police were killed. 13 police men were killed, and they said, okay, we don't go to face, we never want to go again to face the demonstrators if we don't have weapons.
Yeah.
Because they were the first who were killed by the so-called pacific demonstrations, you know,
exactly.
at that time. So it is really all the time it was media lies against, completely lies.
And then
and
then we just heard that in the conference that the West brought in maybe 300,000 of these Takfiri terrorists.
Exactly.
And
they recruited them.
Yeah,
you know,
course.
I was in
and
France.
trained them.
Yeah.
And I heard the other day that 100,000 Syrian soldiers have been martyred thanks to this war.
Yeah.
Externally imposed war, and someone told me that's a modest figure. What about these research centers? Why do imperialists target research centers?
Yeah, because they don't want Syria to grow. They don't want Syria to have her own research centers and her own researchers, because Syrian researchers are very brilliant among the whole world. In fact, if you see, the Syrian doctors are very brilliant, Syrian technicians are very brilliant, and Syrian researchers are also very brilliant among the whole world. And Syria started to grow during, you know, the years between 2000 and 2010. While the Occidental world was all the time in his crisis, from economic crisis from day to another, and Syria was growing 9% every year.
Beautiful.
6 to 9% development.
And they own their own central bank, don't they?
Yeah, and besides, they with zero debts.
Zero debts.
Zero debt. And so they tried to push Syria to accept all the American dictate concerning Iraq, concerning the Iraq researchers, concerning the Iraqi refugees. You know that in 2003, Colin Powell came to Bashar al-Assad and asked him, you will be the biggest country in the Middle East if you accept first not to receive first to accept our presence in Iraq. So it's not an aggression, but it's a good thing for Iraq. Second, you don't have to. You must cut all your relations with Iran. Stop relations with the Palestinian resistance, stop your relations with the Lebanese resistance. You don't have to receive the Iraqi. You must not receive the Iraqi researchers. Iraqi refugees must not be well in your country. And afterwards, if you accept all these things, and you accept our invasion of Iraq, so you will be very great. And of course,
and do they ever tell the truth?
President Assad said no.
Good.
To everything, and that was the first thing. And also, he said you have to open your frontiers to our to our products, and you have to put the Syrian products on the same level and the same price than the international products. And President Assad said this is absolutely unacceptable. So
May I ask
please,
a
you can go.
Yeah.
And he left.
Tell me.
And 2005 they started,
Yeah,
against Syria.
And what do Syrians think about President Assad?
Well, I can tell you that actually most of the people love Assad.
Yeah.
Not only love him, because they love him, they respect him, and because President Assad has really a very strong sense of the sovereignty of Syria, a very strong sense of the independence of Syria, and he doesn't, he doesn't accept at all to be on the knees in front of any power.
Well,
so we are, in fact, a Syrian. In Syria, we are a very proud people, I can say, and I can say I'm very proud being Syrian, and every Syrian can prefer to starve and not to give his proudness,
Well,
and this is really the characteristic of Syrian people. That's why they love him. And in 2014, when there were elections in Syria, you know that all these countries, the Occident countries and the Atlantist countries were saying, this is fake elections and so and so. Well, President Assad were elected by 77.8% of the people, and 84% of people voted.
yeah. So
And at that time, the so-called democratic countries, the so-called democratic countries, Europe and the United States, they forbid to Syrian to go to vote in their embassies, in their countries. So these people don't know, but we have to tell how much these people, these countries pretending that they are democratic and they want to bring democracy everywhere,
big lie.
How much they are not democratic.
Absolutely.
And they are against democracy. They want to play with the democracy of countries just for better involvement in their policy, in their life, and just to be against their sovereignty. So this is
this is why this is why a lot of informed Westerners, such as the people at this conference, which is the the conference that we're at with international trade unions. This is why we respect Syria, we respect Syrians, we respect the Syrian government, because there's so much about this country that we wish we had, because we don't have democracy, and we're not getting the truth, and we're spending all sorts of money on interest rates to international banking, and we're losing food sovereignty, and Syria represents so many things that we wish we had. And that's why people like me are rooting for Syria, and I know Syria is going to win. And is there anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, and Syria is autosufficient also. We eat what we produce. We put also all what we produce, and we sell also things to 51 countries. In 2010. We were also selling all things to 51 countries. So that's why it was very important for the imperialism, I can say, to destroy Syria, because of the values of Syria and because of the existence of this economical independence as a model for all developing countries, and they are all the time trying to put all developing countries under the fake loans of the FME, the World Bank, international banks, and everything.
Keep them
and
poor.
So they are not becoming sovereign, and they are not developing. They are systematically in a process of underdevelopment, and then under the boots of
Absolutely.
the imperialism.
And that includes Canada too. We're so tied to the U.S. It's a tragedy, but they lie so much that most people aren't even aware of that. Unfortunately, but people at this conference are aware of that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the very enlightening interview. It's been a pleasure and an honor, as it always is when I speak to Syrian people. And I wish Canadians were more like Syrians.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can say all the best to all people of the world, in fact included all the people of the so-called democratic countries and who are aggressing. But I call these people to open their eye and to push, to make pressure on their governments just to go on the side of people and not on the side of the finance and the imperialism.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.